time to kick it. And I think we're online now. We have a green light. Everything should be good. I'm still setting things up here, so you're going to have to pardon me. Am I on there yet?
It says starting.
Pop out chat. All right. Okay. And, oh, what am I doing?
You're live.
Cool, guys. Let's just move this so I can see how many people are watching right now. At the moment, we have officially 0 people watching.
Welcome.
Welcome to my desktop. This is what things look like when I'm not organized, which seems to be a reoccurring thing on this stream. Oh well. Anyways, welcome everybody. We are live. What's going on? Wife won the beard battle. Did you notice?
Oh, I didn't actually. I'm incredibly...
Salary deduction, Mike. When your boss shaves his beard, you need to notice. Each and every time, too. So from now on, when I'm going beardless, every morning I want you to say, hey, I noticed you shaved this morning.
Congrats on the shave.
Can you do me a favor? Can you refill this? I'm going to need to drink water. And can you give this a little rinse?
I can.
Yeah. Mike is doing my dirty dishes for me. Not metaphorically speaking. Those are literal dishes that he's doing. So what's up, everybody? This is Q&A, so you can ask us the questions. My name's Derek. We got Mike here washing my stuff for me at the moment. And, hey, John Clark. Howdy, y'all. I love it when people say y'all. I think that's so cool, because we don't say that in Canada. Reminds me of people who say y'all, I guess. Yeah, so this is questions and answers for you guys. If you say questions in the chat, then Mike is going to write down the best questions, and he's going to tell them to me, and then I'm going to answer the questions about importing your cars from Japan, either buying them, exporting them, whatever it may be. And then if you want to take a look at cars too, you can use this. This is our auction tool. It says auction.pacificcoastjdm.com. You go to that, you log in with the guest account. It's super easy. The credentials are here. Guest, Pacific Coast. And once you've signed in, you can check any of the cars that you want. We're going to start off just by putting something on the screen. And what kind of car do we want to look up here? John Johnson says, I need a Land Cruiser diesel, so we'll look at that. What did you say, Mike?
No, I was going to say there's a JE Ibaraki 300CX, but go to Land Cruiser.
Land Cruiser. And we're going to do 60 because the Land Cruiser 60 needs a little bit of love. And we can't pick USS cars. Luckily, there are no USS cars here to look at, and so that helps. And oh, there's so many good ones. This one, and this one, and this one, and this one look really good, and this one. But he wants a diesel, so let's make sure we get a diesel. There's HJ, BJ. So the BJ here, that's a fairly rare one actually, but that's a smaller displacement diesel. And then the 61 are all the turbo diesels. So we got 4 turbo diesels. And why don't we pick this one? Thank you, Mike. You got a salary increase now, back up to your regular amount.
Yes.
Before you didn't mention my beard.
Yeah.
Oh, we got tiny little pictures. That's a pain in the butt. The 60 series comes with 2 different interior colors. One of them blue, or bluish gray, as you can see here, and then the other one brown. I personally prefer the brown one, but I think that the blue one is more popular. Not more popular. The brown one is more common, and then the blue interior kind of is the one that more people would be interested in having themselves, I believe. So it looks like it comes with a bush bar on here. Fender mirrors, I love it. Turbo diesel engine, crunched in bumper. That's cool. It's not funny, Mike. It's actually cool. A crunched-in bumper on a Land Cruiser means this car has some history.
It builds character.
Absolutely. Crunched-in bumpers on any car builds character, but if you have a new car, most of the populace is going to think that that's really stupid. They're going to say, why didn't you fix your bumper? No one's going to ask you that with a Land Cruiser. They're going to be afraid you're going to run them over. Hey, why didn't you fix... Oh, stop!
I knew this would happen.
I knew this would happen. That's funny. Okay, so looking at this, it's a 1989 Land Cruiser. It has the 4,000cc turbo diesel. It's the 1HZ engine, I think is the code. It's an auction grade R because it has run over somebody that was complaining about a bumper. White smoke from the exhaust. That's kind of a no-no. 336,299 kilometers. Some rust on the roof, a crack on the windshield, a rust hole over here, peeling paint over here, big scratches here and here, peeling paint here, a big dent in the back. You can actually see that in the picture here. Yikes! And U3 on the roof. So that means the roof is kind of, the way they put it here with these lines, it kind of looks like somebody was standing on the roof and then dented it in, and then it didn't pop back out like it should. Definitely not wildlife that it hit Bill Courtney. This car certainly ran over a protester. A Land Cruiser protester. Like, you shouldn't drive vehicles that get such bad fuel economy. You need a Prius.
I knew this would happen.
It's kind of mean for me to say that as a joke. I take that back. I'm sorry, everybody. Hey, Flavian. Flavian. Accident history. Yes, of course it has. What else we got? Interior dirty and wear. Seat is saggy. Door has corrosion on it. Sunroof is broken. But the sunroof of these cars, they come broken from the factory. When you open them, when they get to the completely open, they go... And then oftentimes I've seen on the auction sheet, they say the sunroof is broken when that's the only broken thing, but that's just the way that they were made. Glove box lid is broken. The trunk area has modifications. Rear floor is dented. Over fenders, one of them is missing. Probably the... Yeah, it looks like the front section of this one here that goes attached to the door is missing. Oil leak. Roof. What does that say? Roof sealing on the car. I don't know what that means. Like S-E-A-L-I-N-G, I suspect. Roof sealing. So maybe there was a crack or something that was sealed up. And the automatic transmission doesn't work. Wow, what a lovely condition 60 series Land Cruiser. The funny thing is this doesn't sell for pennies. It's still going to have some value because people pay for Land Cruisers. And the 60 series is just so cool. And it just keeps getting better too. For me, 70 series is number one, and then 60 series, and then 40 series, and then 80 series, and then 100, and then 200. And as they get newer, I'm liking them less and less because they're not as... I don't know. What is it about the Land Cruiser, the old ones, that's cool?
Pretty much everything.
Am I putting you on the spot?
No,
you know what we'll do? We'll script this. I'll have questions
yeah.
for you, and then I'll just pretend like I'm coming up with these in the middle, and then you can have a scripted.
I'll have great witty answers for you, just like that.
You usually have witty answers, except when I put you on the spot in the video, maybe the witty answers aren't coming.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes they do.
I'll work on that.
Yeah, this is a pep talk for you. I would like more wit from you. Please improve your wit. I feel the same way though. Oftentimes, I'm the type of person who very commonly has an experience with somebody, and especially this happens when it's kind of a negative experience with someone, like someone says something, and then you think after the fact, man, it would have been so cool or funny if I said this, or I would have been able to handle the situation better had I said this, and then it never comes to mind, and then I end up regretting it. And then on the other side, I also have circumstances where I said things that I thought were going to be witty and funny, and then they turned out to be completely not what I thought they were in my mind. Does that ever happen to you?
Yeah, I'm like, well, that came out wrong.
You're like, well, that joke would have worked better. That joke would have worked better with my friends than with somebody I don't know, or the police officer that just pulled me over.
Yeah, you're like, they probably need some backstory to that.
The police pulls you over. The car's not stolen. Like, to me, that would be super funny.
Yeah.
But I don't think a police officer would think that's very funny.
It's like, I'm going to put you in cuffs just until I check.
Yeah, somebody said it has curtains in the back. That's to hide the dead bodies. The dead zombie bodies, okay? We're only after zombies. You know there's this game. You ever heard of the game Carmageddon?
I've heard of it. I don't know much about it.
It was like a game from the very early 90s on computer. And the goal of the game is to run people over and kill them.
Were they zombies?
No.
Oh,
and
so
this
is 90s pre-PC.
Right, like the Doom era, right?
Yeah.
And then when the game came out in Germany, they thought that was too grotesque, and so they changed all of the characters into zombies and then the blood into green blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So Germany has put us on this track to political correctness.
I think so. I think the world is better because of that. Because now you run over zombies instead of digital pixelated people. And if you look at the graphics in it, you can barely tell that they're people that you're running over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm done looking at this one. So let's. We got a lot of comments in here. Oh, I didn't actually read the comments. I mentioned earlier that previously a couple of times we were doing some like before we do this video, a few minutes of playing some video games, and I had played Mario Kart. I bought a Nintendo Switch and I've been playing Mario Kart, and if people are interested, we can do a little bit of that as we're warming up and waiting for people to join. I'd be interested to know if people want that, or if it's like, Derek, why are you playing video games on a non-video game channel? And I can find that, like, I could understand how people might find that annoying. So I'd like to know if you guys are easily annoyed by video games or not. Because I feel sometimes, and this is only the case sometimes, I'm not a natural speaking type of person, and so I have to speak for an hour, and this can be quite difficult for me to get into the mood. Get into the mood, Mike. And that's why I really like to have you here with me, because you know, it helps me. We've talked about this. But doing something to warm up my brain and get it working faster can kind of help, and video games might do that for me. Ooh, Ellen from San Diego. How can people afford to live there? Isn't it too expensive? Or maybe San Diego is not that expensive anymore? I don't know. Everything in California, Southern California, seems to be really expensive these days. That's interesting. Flavian says, hitting wildlife here is not so common as far as I know, which is like, I've seen wild boars here in Japan, and they're like maybe this big, like dog-sized pigs that just, they're wild. And I've seen them on the roads. And then the roads here, there's a lot of tight roads with corners you can't see around. I would suspect that people hit them all the time. In Canada, I mean, I don't, but some people hit deer and moose and cows and stuff fairly frequently, especially deer, on the highways. I suspect that hitting animals here would be kind of common.
Well, I guess a lot of people go on the expressways if they're going long distances, so there's no chance.
And the expressways here, I believe, have full fences so that animals wouldn't be allowed to get in.
Yeah.
But that's not the case in a lot of highways in Canada.
Yeah.
That would be really expensive to do.
Yeah. Here,
I think the volume of vehicles on the highway is much more dense. Brendan Morris says, play Red Dead 2. I'm not a video gamer, and so I don't understand how to play any of those games except for Mario Kart, because it's easy. It's racing. And then I play Smash Brothers too. And I played, what's that game? Undertale with my daughter, and that was very enjoyable to play with her. Someone else said something that I wanted to comment on, but I don't know. Okay, so let's jump into the video. We're already 15 minutes into it, and so why don't we start off with whatever Mike wants to do. Mike, you're the boss.
There's a question for John Clark. From John Clark. Why was Mike sweeping the street with a snow brush for windshields?
That's in a video. We had a few people comment on that one in the comments, like, Derek, you need to buy Mike a broom.
I wasn't sure if that was for like going up on the channel or not, so I wasn't really concerned, but I guess it was.
Right? It's like a blade for wiping snow off of a windshield.
Yeah, and I use the blade for the rocks, and then
So we have a shovel for that, but we don't have it at the lot, and then we just happened to get that in one of the cars, and we've been using that to shovel the rocks back into the lot, because when you drive up into the lot, sometimes it kicks rocks back because there's like a slope on it, and then if you don't have traction in some areas, it's easy to knock the rocks down. And once Mike proves himself, we can get him a broom.
I'm not quite on the broom using level yet.
Yeah, that's at the moment that's just me that can do that. That's funny that that's actually on the internet. You are famous now as the guy who uses it. And you know what's the best part, Mike?
What?
People probably think it was your decision to use that, but I'm like, Mike, do this.
They're like, Mike's kind of got a problem.
YouTube debut.
Yeah.
Watch me move the rocks. It's like a guy, like a kid pushing a tire down the road with a stick, right? I don't know what I'm doing right now. I'm sorry.
My training. I need more training in certain areas.
David asked if we got snow in Yokohama, but we only got like less than 1 centimeter that stuck, and it only stuck for about 20 minutes. Preludes are rarer in Japan, Said, than they are in the USA. The Prelude was a vehicle that was made for the US market, and so therefore it did better there than it did here in Japan. In Japan, you would typically want a car with a smaller engine because of the costs of registering cars with like a 2.2 liter engine. And for most front-wheel drive cars, I think that hatchbacks were more competitive and smaller cars were more competitive, and then that car works for the US market a little bit better. Or maybe it just wasn't advertised very much here, but yeah, it's not a very common car here. Mike, was there actually any hazing that happened at this company?
What is? I don't know what hazing is.
So hazing can be used for like if you get a job, but it typically comes from when you join a frat in a university, and then the new frat people have to do something stupid in order to like, you know, pledge their allegiance.
Oh,
and
initiation?
We don't do it in Canada unless like people are like, haha, we're gonna be like Americans, because we don't have frats in Canada that are officially attached to the universities, and so it's not the same kind of system. But you know what I'm talking about? Like, have you seen the movie Animal House?
No.
You gotta see it, even though it's completely not politically correct by today's standards. It came out like in the 70s. Yeah, so like you have to do something like, you know, steal a mascot or go spray paint the school or something that you would otherwise get in trouble for. And I think the idea is if you're able to get in trouble for the school, then if any nonsense happens in that school, then you're not going to tell on anybody because there's already going to be dirt on you.
Oh, right.
I suspect that's what it is. I don't know. I'm looking at this from an outside point of view. And then so sometimes in a company they would do something like that. Like a new person would have to do something like when I worked as a teacher, they made me clean the fish tank all of the time because nobody else wanted to do it, but I was the new guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that just because there were a lot of foreign staff there and that was kind of like what they were used to? Like get the new guy
I don't know. Maybe, but I don't think they really thought about it. They're like, I don't want to clean the fish tank, and you don't want to clean the fish tank, and Derek can't say no, so.
Yeah, I don't know, I just filled your water bottle up. Couldn't say no to that.
Yeah, now I got some dirt on you.
if you get sick.
Bill Courtney, you're not allowed to talk about that kind of stuff. I'm erasing your comment. I like you, but I'm erasing this comment. Put this user in a timeout.
Bill Courtney,
that might be a really bad punishment. He's commented like 300 comments.
Although
no!
He did send in a really cool
remove.
car that I think we should.
Okay, so what? Yeah, why don't we get into looking at a vehicle here? Maybe people will understand what this stream is all about if we're going to do that. Okay, so go ahead and give me a number.
90171.
No.
KMAA.
No, your Firefox is critically out of date. X. I love it. Give me that number again, please.
90171.
And this is an Altezza?
Yes.
Oh, it does actually is something of a rare car.
Yeah.
But we got another one of the auctions that displays. Oh, I thought this was going to be small pictures. Okay, so this is the Altezza. I don't know how it's pronounced. Let me just check the Japanese. Gita. It's not Gita or Gita. It's Gita, according to the Japanese. Somebody actually told me, because we sold one of these in the videos on the channel, and I pronounced it Gita, and they're like, no, this word is like an Italian word or something. I don't know. And it's pronounced differently. So, yeah, Gita. Is how the Japanese would pronounce it, at least. So it's a station wagon or hatchback version of the Altezza, which is a rear-wheel drive, small four-door car, kind of 3 Series size. They were trying to compete with the 3 Series because this car in North America was a Lexus. It was the IS 300, which would have been cheaper than the 3 Series, and in several ways it was a better car. I prefer the E46 3 Series over the Altezza, except for the Japanese version has the better engine and can come with a 6-speed manual. What makes this one really rare is this one has the 6-speed manual, as you can see, but was a very uncommon option for the station wagon version of the car. Now, sadly, this one comes with the poopier engine, which is the inline 6-cylinder 2-liter, the 1GGFE engine. It's a good engine, puts out 200 horsepower, but the other engine was better. I'm sorry, and that engine does put out 200 horsepower, but I think the 200 is in a different version of the car that was available in the Mark II and the Crown. In this one, I think it's 180 or 190. Yeah, so it is still an inline 6-cylinder. It's going to be super reliable because no turbocharger on there, and is a generally reliable design with the F-style Toyota head. This one's an auction grade R, comes in a nice color. It would look really good with some nice gold wheels on it, I think. Oh, and
Ooh.
Mike, I didn't tell you about this, but I bought new wheels for the BB.
Oh, yeah.
And it might be a supreme error. Because I was like...
Is it a different style?
You know how when I bought the wheels for the BMW, you're like, wow, those fit really nicely.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, because I spent a lot of time calculating the size and making sure I got the right size. I was like, this isn't the first time that I've miscalculated a wheel. But I was like, wow, I like those wheels. Those are so sweet. And they're quite a bit smaller than the wheels that are on there now in circumference.
Back?
It's the same offset front and back.
No, I mean like smaller than the front wheels they're on there, or the back wheels they're on there.
They're in between. They're in between the two sizes. And then I was like, you know what? Before I buy these over $1,000 wheels for the car, I should probably calculate if they're going to fit. And then I didn't do it. I was like, nah, I'm tired, so let's just buy these.
Have you heard the word YOLO?
Yeah, it's definitely. That's exactly what I was saying to myself. I was like, you know what? YOLO is a term that is only usable for 17 to 24-year-olds, but YOLO, bye.
Maybe we should do a video about the process that we go through when we're not sure of the
That would be a great video. This is going to be me on my couch with my laptop on my stomach going, I'll buy these. This is a dramatic reenactment.
I was just thinking that reenactment.
Yes. So we'll see how those turn out. In case you are not a nerd for this channel, we got a flat tire in our cool 17-inch Oz wheels on the company car, and then because we didn't have any other wheels, we put the Honda City 12-inch wheels, 13-inch wheels onto the car.
So now it looks.
These are only slightly bigger than those. And the big surprise will be the offset.
Okay.
Because the listing said, great for putting over fenders on your car. So we might have to get over fenders for the car too.
I'm happy about this. I want to see.
Also, you say you're happy about it now because you haven't seen how much stretch there is in the tire.
Oh no! You've doomed us all.
I haven't paid for them yet, and so we can still back out if we want negative feedback on Yahoo Auctions.
I think we just go with the full YOLO.
It is not a donk kit. It is the opposite. Terry Blakesley is the opposite of donk. They are smaller than the stock wheels in diameter, but much more aggressive fitment. Okay, so back to the Altezza here. It says the battery needs to be replaced, and because it's been in an accident, the right center pillar and the right side sill have both been replaced. To me, if you replace the side sill and the pillar, that is something I don't want to buy. But that's the same thing for a lot of people. They're not going to... Oh, I'm sorry, right side. And both doors, you can see, were replaced. Therefore, price will be cheap for it. And you don't get very many chances to buy the 6-speed manual transmission in this car. Oddly, the last one that I saw, which was like 4 months ago, had the same color on it. And I think this is a lovely color for the car. I think it looks better in person than it does in these pictures. Here's a weird one. It says electrical problem. But it doesn't say what the electrical problem is. We have bought very few cars that have said this note, simply because that's something most people aren't willing to take a chance on, because, you know, it really could be anything. But the one that we did buy, it was a power window that didn't work, which is weird. Why wouldn't you just write that? Exterior has peeling paint. but again, it doesn't say where it is. What auction is this? KMAA? Get with the program, you idiots. Peeling paint, but we're not going to say where it is. Again, we've had something like this, and then the peeling paint was on the grill, which is no big deal. But if the peeling paint is on the roof or the hood, that's a much bigger deal. So you might want to punish this auction by not bidding, like most likely everybody else is going to do. And so in that respect, you'll probably get it for a cheaper price. Start price is nothing. You might be able to get this for a couple $100, which if that's the price, then it would be worth it, I think. Okay, cool vehicle. Mike, in the next 5 seconds, I'm going to ask for your opinion on this vehicle. So I'm going to give you those 5 seconds now to think about your opinion for it. Ready?
I've never driven one.
5. You still have more thinking time. 4.
I don't need it. I'm ready. Let's do it live.
3.
I'm going with Terry. It's
Hi, Josh.
Cool.
It's cool.
It's
all right.
cool.
With the sunglasses. Oh, get the sunglasses. Get the cool sunglasses, and then put your head in front of the camera and say, "It's cool." This is Mike's hazing. Canadian greetings. What do you think an automatic 993 is? I've seen it on some of your PCA auctions. Automatic 993, I think is a good car to buy. You get them for like $20,000 less than a manual, sometimes $30,000 less. They're still a reasonable price, but they're 993, and so they are expensive. You're looking at $3 million to $4 million or so for a really good condition one. All right, but when you put your face in, you got to do it like close to the camera. So like stand there and then bend over. This is going to be the last time I ask you to do that.
You made me put
Mike,
the sunglasses
this
on
is
so
a
you
family-friendly
wouldn't see the
channel. Hey, these aren't sunglasses. Hey, this is a blindfold.
What I think about the car? It's cool.
That was cool. Now you may take those sunglasses off. I don't mandate that you wear those the entire time.
The screen.
Yeah, they're polarized sunglasses, aren't they? So you won't be able to see the screen. Hi, James Parker Andrew. I am fine, thank you. Yeah. When you type comments in there, Mike, you should be typing in saying that you're Mike. Like put an M in brackets or something. Otherwise, they think that I'm typing, even though they can see me and clearly see that I'm not typing. It could be someone else. It could be Naoko coming in on the chat.
Help me.
I'd be so surprised if she did that.
I have some more cars if you would like. How about an Evo 8?
Sure, let's go take a look at an Evo 8.
It's 75308.
Could you, Mike,
Yes.
write down the name of the person who's sending these in so that I can just give them a quick shout out?
Cool. Okay. That one was sent in by Spicy.
I love the name.
Yeah.
My son Ryan asks me if food is spicy, no matter what he's eating, as long as it's red. He's like, "Is this spicy?" before he eats it.
That's clever though.
Yeah, so if it's something I don't want him to eat, like candies, I'm like, "Yeah, those candies are spicy. I wouldn't put those in your mouth."
He's like, "Oh, thanks for the warning."
Thanks. Okay, so Evo 8. What do we know about the Evo 8? I don't know. They're importable to Canada, which is pretty cool. Looks like a lot of wear on the steering wheel, which is a shame. Extra gauges. And that's about it. It has dealer plates on it for some reason. And then this looks like it is the stock everything. I don't know. Maybe somebody in the comments knows. Are these the stock wheels for the Evo 8? They got Oz wheels, I think, in every generation, but they changed some of them from one model to the next. I think maybe every Evo had a slightly different wheel.
Cars being dropped off today.
And can you check bids and stuff?
Yeah, we're all good.
Cool. So it's a 94, so this one is legal for Canada. It is the Evo 8 MR. And don't ask me what the difference between the MR and the other versions are, because I haven't looked into that yet, because we haven't been buying any of these yet. We've sold maybe 4 Evo 7s and maybe 10 Evo 5 and 6s, and then even more of the Evo 4s. Maybe about 3 or 4 of the Evo 3s, because they're actually quite hard to buy. And then maybe about 6 of the Evo 1 or 2s. But no Evo 8s yet. We have sold Evo 9s and no Evo 10s. This one has 176 271 kilometers, so that's going to make this one a pretty low-priced one, because most people in Japan that want to have an Evo are going to be looking for sub 100,000 kilometers, and then if it's over about 150,000, that's when you see a big price dive. And I think that these cars are reliable. They have kind of a history of being unreliable on the internet, but I think that that's only because a lot of people choose the 4G63 engine as an engine to tune when they don't do it properly, and because it's capable of such high horsepower numbers, then it's easy to break if you're pushing that. But I think in stock form they're going to last a good long time, just like the Imprezas. Also fairly reliable. Ours runs quite well with 200,000 kilometers on it. And we're going to record some video today of the Impreza, so look forward to that in the next few days. So it's auction grade 3, and it'll say down here why it's an auction grade 3. Interior is B, exterior C. The higher mileage there. Aftermarket suspension comes with warranty papers that are going to be sent to the buyer. It's purchased from user, which is basically dealer trade-in. Aftermarket Navi bride bucket seat. It's a little bit weird because the original seats in these are Recaros. So weird to change over to a Bride seat. Aftermarket exhaust, original BBS wheels. There's Derek coming in with the wrong information for you. Right? Do you remember last time?
I love it.
So according to the seller here, it is original BBS wheels on this car, 17 inches. The earlier ones definitely do have the Oz wheels. I know that the Evo 4s do, and I think the Evos 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 all had Oz, but I'm not sure. Windshield rock chip, interior wear and dirty. Here's why it's an auction grade 3. Is the left rear frame and back panel have some sort of a deformation in them. And so it's sort of like an accident, but it wasn't enough to cause any sort of big damage. You can kind of see right here, I think they backed into a pole or something. And so auction grade 3 can be a really good value, but you do have to be a little bit, probably even more careful of an auction grade 3 than an auction grade R, I would think. Rear spoiler paint peeling, and front bumper has A3, which is large scratches. Those would be underneath the front lip. It's very easy in Japan to bottom out the front of your car, which is funny because the Japanese tuning style is super, super low cars, is very popular here, but you just can't drive anywhere. Or maybe the popularity comes from the fact that it's highly inconveniencing you. In the same way that, like, you know, girls wear extremely high heel shoes, right? Absolutely inconvenient. But the inconvenience might be some of the attraction to it. Like, wow, her legs look excellent, and it's inconvenient for her, so she can't run, and so that's a big turn on for me.
All the things I like, you know. No.
And so a low car is the high heels of Japanese tuning culture.
Oh, do you reckon like
Derek said it first.
Police started that? They're like, yeah, give them super stretched wheels. They can't run away. They're like, yeah, cars might be factory tuned, but yours are broken.
Stuff like that sounds like a quote from Animal House. I can quote the entire movie of Animal House, and that line was not in that movie. And that's not true. I haven't watched that movie since high school. And I probably, thinking back, because it's been a while since high school, I probably wouldn't like the movie anymore. It was like all the bad stories you hear about fraternities, that was like the Bible for them. They're like, I watched Animal House, and now we're going to go do these nasty things.
Oh, so they weren't necessarily done before, but it like put the idea in everyone's heads? And that's what fraternities became?
I think it's a little bit of both. Especially in Canada, because we don't have the history of frats, and so usually it would just be a house full of douchey guys, and then they would watch Animal House and try to emulate it. I think that, like, in the US, the frats are a constant, right? And so there's always new people coming in and people going, and so this would preserve some of the old traditions from several hundred years ago in that frat. But that just doesn't happen if there aren't any frats in Canada. And so we just get Animal House style frats of people trying to drive their motorcycle upstairs or in a pool or something.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, price for this Evo. With the high mileage, I'd say, and the grade 3, I'd say we're looking pretty low. So maybe somewhere in around 600,000 yen, which at the moment is like $5,500 US. Which sounds pretty good, but most of them are more expensive than this. Usually an Evo 8 will be somewhere around the million yen mark, or the 9,500, 9,000 ish dollars.
Would you like a question?
I would. Hit me with that, Mike.
Sam Grabel
Mm-hmm.
has said, "What's the highest kilometer car you've ever bought and seen?" I
I
wanna
think
say
you
it was
might
the
know
Golf.
this. Hmm?
The Golf, or highest one we've ever bought?
No, we bought one with higher. We just bought that
I
one
just-
with 800,000 kilometers on it. The car carrier.
Ah, true. I was
Do you
thinking.
remember? This
yeah,
was
I was
just a
thinking
couple months
cars.
ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so we bought the car with the most amount of kilometers on it had like 890,000 kilometers, but it was an industrial truck, and so that doesn't really count because they're built in order to
Yeah.
last a million kilometers, whereas a car is usually built to last a maximum of about 200,000 kilometers, or a little bit more for a Japanese car. For Euro cars, usually that's lower.
Yeah. Oh, I guess
Um,
you could do a category.
But yeah, I mean, we bought the Golf. My Golf R32 had 330,000 kilometers, which was, for a car, one of the highest mileage that we've bought. Most cars in Japan have very low mileage compared to pretty much all other countries around the world, because a typical employee doesn't drive their car to work and will only ever drive it on the weekend. And so that cuts down on mileage an awful lot. I mean, if you live in a city. If you live in the countryside, a lot more people will drive to work, but your employer typically will pay for your transit here in Japan, and then the trains are more reliable for getting you there on time than cars or bikes would be, because traffic can be pretty busy in the morning and unpredictable. So unless you enjoy coming into work an hour early just to make sure that the traffic isn't inconvenient that day. I can't think of any others that we've bought with over 300,000 kilometers, but that Golf was awesome. Right? Right, Mike?
Yeah, I think it was in great
Right?
condition for the car. When you told me how many kilometers it had on it, I was like, what? I can't believe it.
Yeah. I want that car back. Darn it. It exists in Canada, so maybe I can move back and drive it there. Hey Derek, doing sorry, doing auction search of a U13 Nissan Bluebird SSS, and then smiley faces. Can you pull that up? That's an interesting name, E30 IS 3.0. We were just talking about the BMWs and the Altezza. My life in Okinawa says no trains, just buses. Okinawa, I think, is quite different from the rest of Japan. I think having a high amount of military personnel there is one huge difference, and so you can get by on English a lot easier in Okinawa than you can in the rest of Japan. Not that it's really that hard to get by without Japanese here, but also Okinawa is, until the it's always kind of like a quite countryside compared to the rest of Japan as well. And so I think it would be an interesting dynamic. It's also pretty far away from the country here. Did you look for the SSS?
There's one U13 which is a USS auction.
Oh, USS auction. Can't take a look at that.
Yeah, there are some.
I'm sorry.
There are some U14 Bluebirds. I don't know very much about these, but you can have a look at one if you want.
Somebody asked if we can take a look at cappuccinos, and so I'm going to do that. If our internet's working. Suzuki Cappuccino. So Mike, you got a chance to drive in the Cappuccino, right?
Yeah, I did.
We
I
did.
enjoyed it.
We did that video. Other than the bad seat that's in that one.
I don't know. I think the seat may have helped me fit. I've never
Oh
sat in
yeah,
a stock
maybe.
seat.
I don't know. I feel like stock seats are a little bit more spacious even.
Yeah, it was a bit tight, but
Okay, so why don't we take a look at this one? The red is really standing out. This doesn't look like an original red color though. It looks like a respray. Ooh, I think they picked good wheels for this. Are these the Type R wheels for the DC2?
I think so.
They look like it, but
Yeah.
there's also an aftermarket wheel that looks very similar. That is quite a popular wheel. I think NK makes it. Doesn't look like it's in the best of condition. I thought I would like the spoiler looking at the front. I thought I would like this, but I don't. It's too bulbous, and I don't like too much bulbousness in my life. You know, when you get older, your nose gets bigger, right? Like when you're 18, you finished growing, but your nose and your eyebrows continue to grow, and your ears.
Really?
I think so. I
Or
don't.
does the
I
rest
don't
of
want to
you
get a
shrink?
bulbous nose. You always see it on like the stereotypical alcoholic on TV shows has a giant nose and pink face, right? I hope that's not me. I don't drink enough to get a bulbous nose. That's what I'm hoping. Next time we go out. Sorry, I gotta stop there. I don't want a bulbous nose. I'm gonna quit drinking. My nose is important to me. Anyways, cappuccino here. Let's look at the auction inspection sheet. So, kind of looks a little bit rough. The early models like this is 1992. I think from 1993 they changed this because our current cappuccino, which we still have in inventory, doesn't have it. This is a 5-digit odometer, so mileage rolls over 100,000, and so you don't really know how much mileage this is. Ours has a 6-digit though. Suzuki N1 computer. That's interesting. Probably a speed limiter on there and maybe a little bit more boost. Aftermarket radiator, aftermarket tower bar, aftermarket air cleaner, and various other aftermarket parts that if you want to know, you're going to have to see the car in person. Oh, this is a weird comment. Naoko,
Yes.
what's zurai mean?
Zurai?
Yeah.
It's hard. Hard to open. It akenikui zurai.
How about hairi zurai? Hard to get
Hairi
in?
Yes, hard to get in.
So it says one person, 2-person, hard to get in. Is what? Naoko, help me! I'm dying here!
Zurai means it.
You can use the sunglasses.
One something, two something. I don't know what
it's
this kanji is.
It's difficult to put into first gear and second gear.
So this one here is gear.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. If it's difficult to put into first or second gear, that might be a clutch problem. If your clutch disc is worn down too far, right to the very bottom, then it can be a little bit difficult. It could also be a clutch cylinder or a slave cylinder. I really wouldn't worry about that. I think it would lower the price because dealers aren't willing to do a clutch on a car that they're going to resell, especially a cappuccino that's probably doesn't have very thick margins already. And the mileage is unknown, but in 2003 it was 85,000 kilometers. Now it's 38, and so it's probably 138. Original computer and air filter come in the car. This one here just says the mileage is unknown on this car. They say it again and they underline it because it's important. Right front inner panel has like a deformation or dented from the accident. Front cross member is bent. The transmission doesn't work. Maybe this is the same thing as he's talking about here, the first and second gear. Front side member has a small bend in it. Core support is bent. Seat is ripped. Interior is dirty. Underside scratch and dents. It's slight surface rust. Underside various small scratches, and then the body has some bad paint over here. And this is the original red paint, so that's just what it looks like with this lighting. It looks a little bit too like cherry colored, but often the red paint is in a bad faded state because red tends to fade faster than others, and then you can see the roof is all faded too. And then a fender has been replaced. Front fender's replaced is one thing, but when a rear one is replaced, that's more difficult to replace, and so that means a more serious thing. And then back to the spoiler, I think it looks better at this angle. I think it's quite an aggressive spoiler, but from the back view, I don't like the way that it looks here. You need to do like Lancia Delta style and have some writing on the back of the spoiler. Funny how the color looks completely different in the different light. Red's funny that way too. It's probably the most difficult light or difficult color to capture properly on camera. That looks terrible. The seat is probably, I mean, it has a rip in it. We know about that, but it's probably better than having these cushions here. Cool. I think it's bad, but I don't think it's too bad. I think to the right person it'd be worth bidding on. How much would this be to buy and import to the US? I expect this one would be about 200,000 yen, so you're probably looking at a landed cost of around 4,500 US dollars for this one. It would be probably a tricky car to sell for profit, I suspect. Everybody wants a cappuccino at the lowest possible price because it's kind of like a toy to a lot of people. It could be a daily, but it doesn't have a lot of cargo room. It's only 2-seaters, and it's really small and kind of difficult to get in and out of. So some people would be down with that. Some people, like older people, grandpas like me, probably would want something a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more space in it. What are the red flags on the 98 Aristo? The answer to that is simple. There really aren't any. That's close to a perfect car, and I highly recommend you buy them. The prices are amazing for them. How about Hiace for US van nerds? Yeah, they're popular in the US right now. They're fantastic vehicles, and they feel a lot better than the probably more popular Delica to drive. More power, and the power is a big thing because the Delica is really low on power, even though it's a turbocharged 2.5-liter diesel. Hiaces are just better built, more space, probably better off-road, I would suspect, because they have the manual locking hubs, so they're not like a LSD style for your four-wheel drive. I have 5,000 Canadian and that's my dream car. I sent you guys a message, but I thought I had to save up more. 5,000 Canadian is probably a little bit low if you're talking about a cappuccino because Canadian money's not worth that much. You might be able to do it. Actually, yeah, you probably could for 5,000 Canadian for a cappuccino. This one that's on the screen right now, I bet you could do for that much. My life in Okinawa says 3,000 diesel or gasoline. I don't know what the question is in reference to because I can't follow an ongoing chat that's going on. But if you're talking about the Hiace,
Yeah.
all 3,000 cc ones are diesel. Good luck finding a gasoline Hiace. They almost don't exist for the older generation. For the newer ones, they do for sure. But once the car gets old, most of the gasoline ones, which were never common to begin with, have been exported or broken down for parts. And so I don't even know what engine comes in the Hiace. I think you can get a 2.4-liter gasoline. I don't think the 2.7-liter gasoline was ever put in there, the Tacoma engine.
There's also a question, what is the lowest price for a really beat-up Mark IV Supra NA? Manual, I guess.
So
It's
Mark
a
IV Supra
interesting
with
question.
no turbo and manual for the worst of the worst. US legal?
Yeah.
800,000 yen? So landed around 11,000 US dollars for the very, very bottom. But this is something I've said before, and it's a little bit hard to wrap your mind around, but the very lowest of lowest prices of cars are some of the worst value that there are, because you have more people that want the lowest price because, I have to have a Supra, I have to have a Skyline, and then it turns out that if you don't have enough money for that, you try to get the car you can't afford just so that you can have that car, and you're like, oh, I'll fix it later, and then that never happens, and then it ends up costing you more to actually make it into a good car. There are many reasons why you don't want to do that, but at the end of the day, there are a lot more people that want that price of car, even though in my mind that's a bad idea to do. Because of that, you have more demand at the low end of the spectrum, and so with the more demand means prices are higher. And I've seen a number of experiences where the very, very bottom condition of a car sells for more than a car that's about 10 or 15% better by objective standards. It's really weird when that happens. You go for the worst car and you end up spending more than a car that's better, and so you do have to watch out for that. A ton of Canadian Skylines have ended up in the US. People were buying Skylines like crazy in Alberta in 2007. Then the economy tanked and the tsunami killed some cars also. Yeah, a lot of Skylines went to Canada. A lot of them just ended up dying because of that reason that I said. Most people were bringing in the lowest price ones and then didn't have the money to maintain them. And the GTR is not an easy car to, or not that it's difficult. It's not a cheap car to maintain, I would say. Supras are probably more reliable than Skylines are and easier to maintain as long as you don't have leaking oil. But if you do, all the parts are available in the US and Canada already. The four-wheel drive Integra is really, really rare. So if you're looking for one of those, it's going to take you quite some time to find it, but the prices will be really cheap, like $500 or so, because not very many people want a four-wheel drive Integra here in Japan. It's an old enough car that, and it's not really, would never be used in any sort of motorsports, and doesn't come with the Type R engine, so people who like the Integra always want to go for the Type R if they can. But if you can find one, you can probably get it for, $1,000 or so. You do have to be careful, Michael 101, about getting down on people who are profiting off of importing cars, because it may seem like, buying for $7,000, selling for $10,000 is an easy $3,000, but it's not really that easy to do. And if it were, more people would be doing. We get a lot of interest in people doing that, but after one or two cars, they decide it's not worth it for them. And so you do have to be really good in order to sell the cars. And if you are really good, you deserve to get a profit that's appropriate for your level of importing skill. I don't know if that makes sense, but I do hear a lot of people saying, you can buy them in Japan for $7,000. And then, well, there are reasons why people want to buy one that's in the USA already. They can see the car in person themselves, and so that lowers the risk, and that's a huge thing. You can drive the car off of the lot that day instead of waiting, 8 weeks or so. And you can get things like warranties or financing, and so there's good reason to, go with the company that's our competition instead of with us. That's not entirely true. A lot of our customers are dealers in the USA, and so it's not really our competition per se. It is a different market. Importing is definitely not for everybody. You do have to be risk adverse, and you really have to have a higher intelligence level than just buying a car, because you have to be able to understand pricing, and you have to, the system can be a little bit complex. Isn't that right, Mike?
Oh, yeah.
We do get some customers who are like, oh, this will be easy, and then feel like they're in over their head a little bit.
Yeah.
Can't understand why cars are selling for certain amounts, and can't listen to the rules that we lay out for you. There's a process that we need to keep in order to efficiently handle the customers and give them the best service. And if you don't have good reading comprehension and don't listen to the things that we say, this can cause troubles for us and for you. So to some people, it might just be easier to be like, that's the Skyline that I want, and I'll have that, please, and I'm okay with spending a little bit more than importing one myself. And so for that reason, I think dealers deserve to get the markup that they get on the cars. And this goes back to business 101 too. You have to sell your products at the maximum price that the market's going to allow for. And if you can't sell them for that price, then the prices come down. And so I don't think that there's a flood of people trying to get rich quick. Let me just rephrase that. There are a lot of people who want to get rich quick. It's not a sustainable thing. So if you're going out to be buying from a dealer that's established, then they've got the prices set appropriately. If it's somebody you met on Instagram or Facebook that's selling a car, and this is their third car that they've sold, that might be a little bit different. But it is a case-specific thing. There are some highly overpriced cars out there. Yeah, and so Michael 101, I'm still going to continue with this, because you said there are a lot of shady JDM businesses in Calgary in 2007, and it killed the market with all the crappy cars people were bringing in. And that's not only in 2007, that's happening now. Because remember earlier in the stream I was talking about how the market has more people who are looking for the cheapest possible price, and because there are so many people for that price of a car, it's actually advantageous for dealers to bring in the cheapest cars, because if you're a good dealer that's bringing in the high quality cars, you might get labeled as being too expensive because so-and-so down the road has Skylines for $10,000 less than you. But you get what you pay for with the cars, and especially the dealers that are bringing in the low quality cars tend to be the shadier of the dealers too. And so you really don't want to cheap out when it comes to that. And unfortunately, it does kind of give the market a bad impression when there are so many dealers at the bottom end. But this is business. You can't really prevent that. You can't tell the dealers, stop buying the crappy cars, because people are buying those crappy cars. So, yeah.
There's a market for everything, right? At a certain price.
Yep, there is. That's why for us it puts us in a good position, because we don't have to play that game. What we do is we provide a service where you guys can purchase your own cars and then you can pick the condition that you want. And so I'd say most people who are importing through a company like us are ending up with better value because one, you pay less. Secondly, you get exactly what you want, and then there's no chance of there being any shady business like, oh, this car actually has a corrosion hole and you didn't know about it. Like, be forward. Oh, they're a big and powerful company. They might come after me. I heard you cough and say be forward in your stream.
Take his license away, USS.
Their business model is different. You'll get the cars really cheap, but they only buy the very bottom 10% of cars most of the time so that they can sell them for really cheap, because most countries, they're not going to import anything but the bottom 10, 20, 30%. Canada, US, a lot of European countries tend to not have price as the one determining factor of which company that you buy from. And so for that reason, those are the companies that we're popular in. Not like we're more expensive. In fact, we're kind of middle price. But if you look at our service fee on our site, it looks more expensive than other countries, and this kind of filters out the bottom people from buying from us. Because most JDM clients are like under 25 market and JDMs require cash. Yeah, that's a big thing too. I like these comments that you're putting in here. A lot of people who want to import are younger people that don't have the cash and would like to do financing. Those people will be buying already landed cars because you can get financing for them. Typically, our customers tend to be a little bit older than that. And I don't really know the source of income for all of our customers. Some people have really good jobs. Some people are, a lot of our customers are just car dealers or starting up businesses. Some people get like a settlement and decide to invest it into buying. And then some people have sold their car and are looking for something new. I don't know. I could probably guess what percentage of each of our customers is each one of those categories, but I don't know if I would be accurate. I was never in any of those categories. I'm still in the my car costs $2,000 category, even though this company's been running for 12 years now. Wait, 2008? 11 years. Yeah, and my minivan is $1,500 when I bought it 5 years ago.
And still going strong. That's an important.
That's because it's a Honda minivan.
Yeah.
If I bought a Skyline instead, I would have had a broken car that would have cost me 8 times more in maintenance. And would have cost me a heck of a lot more to buy, even at 5 years ago prices.
Would you like a new car?
Yeah.
Or are you like in the comments?
No? Let's go for another car.
Another car? There's a couple of people who've asked about this one. It's not US legal, actually. Never mind.
That's okay. If a couple of people have asked about it, we can quickly go over it.
Okay, 45066.
Yeah, the reason why we're still in business after 11 years is because I wasn't one of those idiots that was like, I'm in business, I'm going to go buy a G-Class now. Look at all this money I got. And so I think in general I'm fairly conservative and I don't like spending money on things. And so that does wonders for keeping your company in business. Okay, so a 180 SX with a wide body kit and an S15 front end with some of the scariest headlights that I've ever seen. And they look like low quality units that don't fit up well with the low quality hood, front bumper, and fenders. And then the back end looks kind of funny because the paint is all faded. Okay, so I don't know. RPS 13. What do you think about the RPS 13? Mike?
I don't mind the 180SX, but I don't like the kit on this one.
Yeah? What's the
they
problem?
They can look good with wide body kits, but this one does not. I don't know. This one just seems like no one cared for this car, and you'd be buying into their years of neglect.
Mm-hmm. It would have been expensive
Perhaps.
to build. It always makes me sad when somebody builds a car and then you see it in the dilapidated state.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at the condition on the auction sheet yet, so I don't really know if this car fits into that. But I do question somebody who decides they want this headlight on their car. Maybe there's somebody that doesn't make good life decisions. And I kind of want to buy a car from somebody who has made good life decisions in their past. I question your judgment. Right?
Yeah.
If you were to try to look for a wife or a husband, if you're a woman, and this was the car that you brought on your first date, the person you're going to marry is going to have low standards, I think. That's the way that I see it.
Or you've got a really great personality.
You must. Is it because you have history with this sort of thing? having a date in a car that shows poor judgment.
I like.
Because that sounds
To
like
do
somebody who
tests.
wants. Yeah. I'm really smart. Like I read books and stuff, and I have a great personality.
But does this
Oh
not
man,
fit?
it must be so like I've never really had to deal with it because I married young and I didn't date very many people in my life, but it must be such a sad thing to be, in your mid 30s with that pressure to try to settle down and have a family if that's important to you, and just
Difficult, yeah.
be so bad at going on a date. Like maybe autistic or something, and you just can't understand why you keep failing.
That would be difficult.
And you're like, why do girls like me? And then you become an incel.
I guess that's fairly common in Japan, right? People locking themselves away from the world.
Yeah, there's a word for it too, right?
Yeah, I can't remember it,
Yeah.
but it's like house. Kind of like hermit, I think.
Yeah, there's
But
the Japanese word is much more commonly used, I think, and I think it's also in Korea and possibly more so now in America than it used to be, and I think it's a result of a lot of people's lives becoming more social media centric compared to in the past. I mean, before you, like, if you're going to sit at home and do nothing, you would just, read a book, and then you would get tired of that, and then you would go out. But nowadays, instead of reading a book, people are looking at social media, and the social media says, look at how your life sucks compared to these other people's lives, which is not an accurate representation of their life, because it's like the top 5%, like, look at me, I'm having cocoa with this hot girl. My life is amazing.
Meanwhile, they were like on Craigslist looking for model to do Instagram photo shoot. Must be able to drink cocoa.
All right. So, anyways, let's go to the sheet of here and kind of get back on track. I can't read some of this, so I don't really know. 174,000 kilometers. It's a 1995. It's an auction grade 0, which is really only used at the Bay Auc. It would be similar to an auction grade 3 at other auctions, I think. Interior D, exterior C. I don't like it when people use this kind of seat in a street car. Maybe this was a race car, but I doubt it. I think people are just like, I want a sports seat. I'm going to spend money on it. It looks cool. And they don't realize how difficult it is to get in and out of it once you reach 36 years old and you haven't been working out. S15 Sylvia converted 180 SX with a D Max adjustable suspension, aftermarket twin exit exhaust, hood and front bumper and rear fenders are Origin kit. Origin's not a cheap kit now. I mean, it's not super high end, but it's not like no name brand. Various modifications on this car, various scratches and dents. Wheels scratched, dashboard is cracked like every S13. It's kind of a shame too, because the S13, I don't want a dashboard crack, and I don't want to spend $1,000 on a used dashboard that doesn't have a crack in it. And S13s are just such nice cars otherwise. Too bad they're often in such bad condition. Something about the bumper. I can't read this. A bumper, one part comes off, maybe. Engine room has modifications and cut to modified part. Scratches and dents on the car. Aftermarket air filter, trunk, floor, and right front side member and end panel all deformed or dented. Left and right front side member. Left and right front inner panel dented. Core support's been replaced. Front FR, something I can't read. I don't know what that means. Interior scratches and dirty. And lights for your pedals. Yes, I changed my mind on this car. It has lights for the pedals. This person now has good judgment, and then we are going to buy this. And you know what's funny about this car? This is the kind of car that you can make look really cool in a picture. So if you're one of those people that are like, I want to make other people look jealous on Facebook and Instagram, you could buy this car and you could do that. And then everyone else is going to think you have a rad car, but in reality, it's, you're probably better off with a different car.
Yeah. That's a very good way of saying that.
That's the thing with cars too. It's so easy to make a car in a good light until you actually live with that car.
Yeah.
All right.
We are at 12 o'clock.
We're at 12:05, and so that means that's going to be the end of this this one. And so yeah, price for this one. I'll just finish up with that. Also, paint fade, and scratches on the bumpers, and replaced fenders and hood, obviously, because it doesn't come original like that. The problem with pricing something like this is you're going to get kind of boy racer-ish type people that are going to be very interested in this car. Or somebody who wants to buy the car and maybe tailor it to their needs, because an S15 front 180 can be super rad. It looks like this one will be too far gone to make it really nice, though. I would prefer to start off with your own clean sheet. And so because of that, you might find that the price of this is a little bit more expensive than I consider the value to be. And so I believe we'll probably see this sell for somewhere in the 800,000 yen range. I wouldn't pay more than 600,000 for it, even if I wanted a car like this. And so 800,000 yen would be like 7,300 US dollars maybe, or so. And we're going to leave it at that. So thank you everyone for joining us in the chat. Thank you for sticking with us for the 1 hour live stream, for those of you who have. And we're going to be back again next week, which is going to be after my trip to the ice drifting. Mike and I are going there. And so we'll have a video for you up hopefully not too long after that, because Mike's pretty fast at doing his editing. Not this Mike, other Mike. So, and WRX news, you probably missed it earlier in the chat, in the stream, but we're going to be driving the car, taking some videos of it today, and probably have a video up by the end of the week. Not the final video, but showing the car in more detail. Who's Fat Mike? I don't know.
If it ain't spelt with a P, then it's neither of us.
You fat man, like PHAT. Huh. All right, leaving it there. Thanks everybody, and see you again next week.